We have a habit of rewarding the people who carry the world on their shoulders. We call them resilient. We call them the rock. But in the therapy room, I've learned that being the rock often means you're simply the one everyone feels comfortable leaning on until, eventually, the structure cracks under the weight of everyone else's silence. There is a very specific kind of silence that follows someone who has spent a lifetime being strong. It isn't the silence of peace. It's the silence of a structure that has finally and quietly given way. Welcome back to Therapy Room Stories. I'm a therapist, and today I want to share a story that repeats itself with different faces almost every week in my practice. It's a story about the invisible cost of holding it together and what happens when the version of yourself that the world relies on simply runs out of oxygen. This person who came to see me wasn't broken in the obvious sense. They were, in fact, impeccable. A perfectly composed posture, a controlled voice, a polite smile that never quite reached the eyes. That is almost always the first red flag. In psychology, we know that people who are drowning are often the ones putting the most effort into looking like they've never even touched the water. They spend every last drop of energy swimming against the current, just so no one on the shore notices they are losing their breath. They told me about their routine. They were the eldest daughter, the one who managed their parents' health scares. They were the reliable professional, given the most complex tasks, because they can handle it. They were the friend who listened to everyone's problems, but never had a shoulder for their own. When their father passed away, they were the one who dealt with the solicitors, the bills, and their mother's emotional collapse. They didn't cry at the funeral. They were too busy making sure the guests had coffee. Here lies a deep psychological pattern, parentification, or high-functioning anxiety. Often, this begins in childhood. We learn very early on that love and safety are conditional. If I am useful, if I don't cause trouble, if I fix everything, then I will be loved. Then I will be safe. We create a core belief that our value is directly tied to our utility. If we aren't being useful, we feel a terrifying existential void. It's as if, without a problem to solve, we cease to exist. But the human mind has biological limits. The nervous system was not designed to live in a constant state of hypervigilance. When we spend years anticipating the needs of others, our body remains in a permanent state of fight or flight. Cortisol, the stress hormone, floods the system, eroding our capacity for joy or real rest. The break for this person didn't come with a grand tragedy. It came with an insignificant detail. It was a jar of marmalade that fell on the kitchen floor on a Tuesday morning. They were running late, the glass shattered, the preserve spread everywhere. And in that moment, something simply switched off. They didn't clean it. They didn't shout. They simply sat down on the floor, amongst the glass and the sugar, and stayed there for hours, staring at nothing. They described that moment to me with haunting clarity. I looked at that mess on the floor, and I realized I had no internal resources left to move a single shard of glass. My emotional reservoir was at zero. This is what we call emotional burnout. It's when the brain, realizing you won't stop voluntarily, forces a system shutdown. It's a defense mechanism. The silent depression of the strong doesn't necessarily manifest as sadness, but as total anaesthesia. You stop feeling the bad, but you also stop feeling the good. In our sessions, we worked intensely on guilt. For someone who has spent their life being the harbor, resting feels like a crime. Admitting exhaustion feels like a betrayal of everyone else. We had to deconstruct the concept of strength. True strength isn't the rigidity of an oak tree that refuses to bend and ends up uprooted in a storm. True strength is that of the willow, flexible, swaying with the wind, and therefore surviving. Often, strong people suffer from a core belief that they are responsible for everyone else's happiness. They feel that if they fail, the world around them will collapse. But the truth is harsher. By always being the strong one, you accidentally train the people around you to be dependent and weak. You rob them of the opportunity to grow and to support you. You've built a cage where your own competence is the bars. I suggested an exercise called controlled vulnerability. I asked them to ask for a small favor that week. Something they could do alone, but chose not to. The panic in their eyes was real. Saying, "I need help," sounded like a defeat. But when they finally did it, the world didn't end. People didn't leave. On the contrary, they felt honored to finally be invited into their life. Healing isn't about becoming weak. Healing is about becoming human. It's understanding that you have permission to have limits. That no is a complete sentence and a necessary act of self-preservation. Today, this person is still capable, still resilient. But now, they are a tree that knows when to shed its leaves. They realized they don't have to carry the broken marmalade jar alone. I'd like you to look at your own life now. How many broken jars are you ignoring on the floor of your mind? Are you holding so many things together that one small mishap would make you crumble? Remember, you are a human being, not a human doing. You have the right to be tired. You have the right to be fragile. Being the rock is a lonely way to exist, and over time, even the hardest stones are shaped by the water. Allow yourself to be water, allow yourself to flow, to change, and above all, to feel. Thank you for being here with me today. If this story touched something inside you, if you saw yourself on that kitchen floor, please share your experience in the comments. There is immense power in knowing we aren't alone in our exhaustion. If you felt this reflection helped you breathe a little deeper, please subscribe to the channel and share this video with that one person you know is trying much too hard to be strong. Let's keep these necessary conversations going with stillness and truth. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next story.